Next up, we have Ms. Watson Coleman. You have 5 minutes, Ms. Coleman.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Secretary. You've said a lot today. You've not answered one question, but you're consistent. You've not answered the hows of the questions that the Republicans have asked, and you certainly haven't answered how you're going to make something happen on this side either. What I am concerned about is how you could even open your mouth and say that you care about this population or these populations when you're willing to come here and advocate for a 51% reduction in the budget. And so I want to go over a little bit of this stuff with you because I don't think you're refocusing. I think you're devastating. And this is a ludicrous proposal. I'm sure you know that 74% of Americans are concerned about housing and 771,000, you mentioned it, are currently homeless. I know you know that 7.6 million, including 2.9 million children, are facing the threat of eviction. I know that this budget does not usher us into any alleged golden age, but perhaps a gilded age. I am unsure how you and this administration arrived at the decision to cut HUD by 51%, specifically $45.6 billion during a period of rising homelessness and housing insecurity. And I want to remind you that 4 years ago, you were here. You and the administration are going to try to sell the American people a story that these cuts are justified, and you give it while you want to give your money back to very wealthy donors. It's my job to show the American people that these are unjustifiable cuts, and so here, let us go with this. A 40% cut to rental and homeless assistance programs totaling $27.25 billion. A $53 billion cut to Section 8 rental assistance. An $8.8 billion cut to public housing. A $1.2 billion cut to Sections 202 and 811 programs for the elderly and disabled. A $505 million cut to HOPWA. A $22 billion cut to HUD's housing construction supply and preservation program. A $1.25 billion cut to the home program. You care about home ownership? I don't think so. A $75 billion cut to the Choice Neighborhoods program. A $12 million cut to the SHOP program. A $6 million cut to rural capacity building grants. A $10 million cut to the PRICE program. A $296 million cut to the lead hazard reduction and healthy home programs grant. A $3.3 billion cut to community development block grants, a $100 million cut to pro-housing, a $196 million cut to family self-sufficiency programs, a $58 million cut to housing counseling, a $101.4 million cut to fair housing. Now, Secretary, I'm sure you know that these cuts will successfully increase housing instability, and evictions. I'm sure you know that those facing evictions don't have a right to counsel. I am sure you also know that your budget is making massive cuts to legal aid for those facing evictions and homelessness. So I'm sure you know that cutting rental assistance, eliminating fair housing protections, and defunding legal aid will not reduce homelessness and eviction in this country. I am sure you're aware that you are worsening the housing crisis with your budget proposal. If you really believe that you would not slash your agency's budget by over 50%. And by the way, you talk about giving the authority back to the states. You want to give them authority, but you don't want to give them resources. You can't do anything with your rhetoric and your narrative. You got to show with your actions and with your resources. And last but not least, I want you to tell me what DEI contracts you have terminated. What does that mean? Did you terminate contracts to veterans? Did you terminate contracts to disability organizations? Did you terminate contracts to Black contractors? Did you terminate to Latino or Asian or whatever? What the heck are you talking about eliminating DEI contracts in HUD? Who's your population? Who should you be looking after? It is shameful, and you are to be ashamed of being here. You don't have to answer any question because you haven't answered one yet.
Ms. Vice Chairman, I would actually like to answer her.
I yield back. I don't need you.
Okay, thank you, Congress Lady. You know, and thank you for stating all the stats of our budget. We really appreciate that because it just reiterates my point that with record funding, HUD has still not carried out its most basic mission. And I have
Don't
answered
act like
questions.
you haven't been here, sir. Just 4 years ago, you were here.
Ms.
Don't
Watson,
act
Ms.
like
Watson
you
Coleman,
care
if
about
you'll let
this
him, Ms.
population.
Watson Coleman, if you'll let him answer the question,
I
your
don't
time
need.
has expired.
Listen, I reclaimed my time back. I yielded my time. You wouldn't let him waste your time. You let him.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And thank you, Ms. Watson Coleman. Thank you for reiterating my point that status quo is not good enough, that also homelessness has gone up in spite of record funding.